Hello, everybody. It is me, CurtisDoesADig, the love of your life, and welcome back to another episode of Curtis Talks. Today is January 17th, 2024, and it is 12:05 p.m. I just finished my lunch. I had a couple slices of pizza, which I'm kind of happy about. It was pretty good. It was leftover from Sunday, so I mean, it's been in there a few days. But anyway, welcome back to another Curtis Talks. I'm here in the Nether, right next to my portal, right there. Why am I zoomed in so far? There we go. Um, and I'm at my little mushroom farm. So I set this up a little while back because I needed a ton of mushrooms for some potions. So the deep, I'm going to need a lot of potions for, and some of them I'm going to have to invert their abilities. So like turning some potions from invisibility to night vision or vice versa. We'll figure it out. I don't know exactly what I'm going to need, but we are going to need fermented spider eye to reverse the potions. So that's what I'm doing here. But hello, hope everybody's doing well today. I do have I've been calling them lessons, because essentially that's what they are. But overall, it's more like I've been thinking about stuff a lot lately. Um, I don't want people to think that when I'm doing this, I'm telling you what to do. I want to make it clear that like you guys can do whatever you want. This is just what I've been thinking about lately, you know? And so that's where we're at right now. Oh, did I I have it in like a grid, but apparently I'm really bad at grids. Okay. Let's do this one right here. And one more right here. And that should work. Oh man. Okay, I'm gonna have to fix this at some point. Because I think I might have messed it up. I had them spread equally apart. I think what I might do at some point is actually just like mark down where all of them are supposed to be. That way I can just quickly go through, run these all over instead of having to like, okay, is this lined up? Okay, is this lined up every single time? Because it's a little bit tedious. But we're at like two and almost a half a stack of brown mushrooms, which is nice. So what I've been doing is I've just been AFK inside like the basalt generator and just sitting here thinking, doing a lot of writing. I've been doing a lot of writing lately, specifically about the quote lessons that I've been sharing. Um, but I've been wondering what I should talk about. I have a lot of things written down that I want to talk about, but I asked recently what I should talk about. And one of the ideas was organizing creative ideas. And this is something that I struggle with too. So if you're struggling with it, just know that you're not alone. A lot of people have difficulty organizing their creative ideas because it's a challenge, especially when you're the type of person like me where you need to constantly be changing projects because you get kind of bored easily. That's my case. I get bored very easily. And so I'll be working on a project and then I'll be like, well, now I have this next idea. So I want to work on that instead, right? And that's not really ideal for a creative process. So let's kind of touch base a little bit here and try to figure this out. What are some ways that we can do better about our creative planning and our creative process? Because for me, like I said, I can't stick to one project for very long. Otherwise, I get bored. I gotta switch things up. And I'm trying really hard not to do that for the deep, but sometimes things happen. Right now, it's less about me being disinterested in the deep and more, man, I don't want to go do this build right now. Right. So that's why I'm actually making this video. Just so you all know. I am putting off working on the deep right this very second. Yeah, get out of here. So I've been thinking about this topic for quite a bit, and I wrote down a few thoughts that I kind of want to share and see if it sparks any interest to people. Um, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. So take one, action, creative ideas, and how to like plan those out. Make sure that you can kind of work through all your creativity without losing any of your ideas, without like stepping into something that is in the game industry called feature creep, where essentially you have an idea and you go for that idea, you have a plan for it, and then over time you just keep adding more and more features to it, um, and the project just gets bigger and bigger. Uh, the Deep is kind of in that state right now because Gort wants it bigger and bigger, which I completely understand. It's a big project. We want to make it as massive as possible. But at some point, we're going to be hitting something called feature creep. And you're going to find that a lot in creative ideas as well, where you're like, oh, well, I've already put this much work into it. Let's make it even grander. Let's add some more stuff to it until the project just becomes unending and unyielding because you just never stop adding more to it. It's not that big of a problem if you're able to spend all that time doing it if you don't have like a deadline. But then it makes the project last a lot longer than they really need to be. So it is kind of important to like point out and figure out what the limits of the project should be and have some sort of deadline to work off of. And then after the deadline, if you finished everything and you want to add more to it afterwards and you don't have another project lined up, go for it. Add some more stuff to it. If you got the time and the energy to do it, go for it. Nothing's stopping you. It's just you really don't want to do that when you have other projects you want to work on too, you know? So here is my personal take on creative organization and, just organizing your creative ideas. Personally, I don't do this. I really should though. That's the thing. When I started thinking about this topic, I originally was going to write down how I do it, but then I'm like, how I do it kind of sucks. How I do it isn't that great. And so I've been contemplating and thinking about how I could do this topic some justice and make it something worthwhile for everybody. So without further ado, let's actually get into it. So the very first step that I wrote down is that you need to okay, and I say you need to, like I've said before, this is my suggestion. This is just what I've been thinking about. I'm not actually telling you to do it. It's your own choice. I want to make that clear. Um, but set aside some time to be alone with your thoughts and ideas. Um, with like so your thoughts, ideas, your plans, anything you want to like kind of contemplate because when you have time to do that sort of thing, you could actually really think things over, like incredibly so. There's so much that you can actually do some thinking over, and it's really really nice. So set aside some time to be alone with your thoughts, okay? And that's easier said than done. You may think to yourself, well, I mean, I'm already alone with my thoughts all the time. Like if you're like me, you're constantly alone with your thoughts and you have a lot of time to just kind of sit and think But there's a difference between setting time specifically for your thoughts and just being alone with your thoughts, if that makes sense. So, um, for example, yeah, I'm alone frequently because I live alone in my apartment. Um, but most of the time I'm working. And so that doesn't really give me a lot of time to actually sit down with my thoughts, right? So, what I tried doing this time around, I sat down to organize my thoughts, specifically just to organize my thoughts. Just didn't do anything else, just thought about what I wanted to talk about today. And I organized them. What I did was I organized the things into the most important and the least important. So at the top of my list was the most important thing. At the bottom of my list was the least important thing. And this importance you can kind of decide on your own because everybody's going to think that something is more important than something else, and it's going to vary from person to person. Um, but you can decide that on your own. Like for some people, the importance might be that there is a deadline or some other sense of urgency to get this plan out, right? And maybe that makes it more important than something else. While for others, the importance may be determined by like a feeling or desire to complete it first, right? Like this is the most important thing to me at this point, right? But whatever the case may be, the importance to you is what matters most when organizing these things. And I want to stress that completely. Ooh, hello. I want to stress that completely is that the importance is um it's what matters most when you're organizing them. The importance to you. But anyway, the time alone is going to allow you the ability to kind of reflect and kind of express in greater detail what each of your thoughts and your ideas and your plans um, and contemplations are. Um, and what I recommend is that you set aside like a page for each. You can do this on regular paper. I do it on Google Sheets personally. Oh wow, were those name tags? I think those were name tags. Um, I have I use Google Sheets to organize my ideas, and I feel like that works pretty well. But essentially, you're going to set aside a page or like a column for each of your thoughts, ideas, plans. And what you're going to do is take some time to express those thoughts and elaborate and give examples of what you're talking about in these ideas and thoughts and plans. Um, and use your time to, detail everything that you feels matters most to any of your ideas. You know, really hone in on what you're trying to do or think about. Like, whatever the creative output is going to be, really hammer out the details, especially the ones that you feel matter the most, because that's going to really help you out. Skip no detail, uh, like, especially the larger ones. It's super important, super important. And like try to meditate and sort out what you're trying to convey. That's really the biggest thing is just you want to detail everything out. And I would start out with the most important thing first. The more thorough you are when you're trying to do this, the greater an understanding of what your I'm trying to think of the word. The more thorough you are, the greater the understanding you're going to have over what you're trying to do. And the greater the understanding you have, it's going to be less of a burden to actually get some of these things done. And like when they're listed out like this, they're going to be a lot easier to fulfill too. I mean, you already have all the details hammered out, and the first one on your list is going to be the most important one to you. And so like you can go and knock out that most important bit first. And then at the end of it, if you didn't finish all the things that were less important, at the very least, you got the most important thing uh, knocked out of the way, right? And maybe you don't finish it in the time frame that you actually want to finish it in, but like at the very least, you took the time to hammer out all the details so that when it comes time for you to begin, oh my gosh, I can't speak right now. When it becomes time for you to begin something again, you know what it is what you're planning to do. You can get right back to it. You have all those details already planned out. And if you come up with another idea or plan that you're like, man, I really want to do that first, then maybe it's more important than everything else and you should do that first. Now, I can't really take credit for this idea. Red Gabs and I were talking the other day, and she kind of inspired me for how to handle these kinds of plannings, because um, she heard from somebody else that, oh yeah, you list your task from most important to least important, and then you handle the most important first and the least important last. That way, at least at the end of the day, you have the most important stuff done. So thanks, Gabbers. But there's a lot to be said about creative organization, and there's plenty of ways to do it. Like I said, I don't really organize my creative endeavors too often. But when I do, I mean there's so many different ways to do it. You can do it through like just pen and paper writing these things down. You could use Google Sheets, Google Docs, you can set up a calendar. However it is you want to handle it, that's probably the best bet for you anyway, you know? But anyway, I kind of digress here. Thank you guys so much for watching. That's really the end of the episode. I feel like I covered everything I really need to cover. Um, just try to put that into practice, because when you organize, things become a lot more clear. Think about it like organizing your inventory in Minecraft. Like I have stuff to be organized here, and if I'm looking through all my chests and I'm like, I could have swore I had sniffer eggs. I don't, and I'm looking for them. I mean, obviously I have them right here, but if I'm looking for them, oh man, which chest has the sniffer eggs in them? When you organize them, it becomes a lot easier to navigate and figure out what it is you're trying to do, right? But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope this was insightful for some of you. It was definitely insightful for me. I'm definitely going to try to start putting this into practice. That's something that I really want to do is with these Curtis talks, any lesson that I have, I want to try putting into practice myself. It doesn't mean that I have already been doing them, but it does mean that I want to try. And so with creative organization and just organization generally, I feel like this is going to be really helpful for me. So thank you, Ninty, for suggesting this, and I hope it helped. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing and clicking that notification bell to get notified when I upload a video. And if you're not following already, please consider following me on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and supporting me on Patreon, all at CurtisDoesADig. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hope to see you guys in the next episode. Have a good one.